Alright, so boom, turn me up, don't turn me down. We back at it with another video. Today we got hockey psychology. Emotions are taking over the NHL playoffs, man.
Thick of round one of the NHL playoffs, and we're starting to see
link in the
everything
description to the original
Fans
video.
are already pissed off with officiating. Tempers are certainly flaring, and the brooms are already getting ready. Yeah, buckle up, because we're diving headfirst into it in today's episode.
Oh, man.
Now, quickly, we just hit 250,000 subscribers. Thank you all so much for supporting. We have some big plans for hockey psychology, and at the core of that is going to be Squarespace. Squarespace.
Hey, this is my first time seeing him in not in person, but like seeing his face.
Is a complete website builder that helps you stand out online and grow your business.
All right, let's
The
get
Jets. After winning both games 1 and 2, the nerves for Jets fans have calmed down. It was a little bit nerve-wracking there. The entire hockey world saw what the President Trophy winners did in the regular season and constantly said, yeah, let's see it do it in April. First 2 games went well, but Game 3 is in St. Louis, and the Blues meant business. 48 seconds in, Pavel Buchnevich skate to stick and in. He feels like double dipping. So with the Blues going on the power play, they've been lights out so far in this series. And watch this cheeky little manipulation play by Thomas. He's going to crawl up near the blue line. Both Jets killers are going to slightly drift towards him, and that's going to free up enough space for Buchnevich for the high tip chance to get his second of the game. St. Louis is just all over Winnipeg. Connor Hellebuyck is out here flopping like a fish to make a save, and the Jets are way back on their heels. Now, in St. Louis's magical 12-game win streak near the end of the season, we saw how the Montgomery run offense came alive. It involves a ton of motions in the zone and defenders frequently joining the rush to give St. Louis a numbers advantage up in the play. There wasn't much space to do any of that in games 1 and 2, but in this one, St. Louis was cooking. On this play, Fowler's going to start with possession behind his own net. As soon as he defers to his partner, he gets on his horse and starts moving up the ice to join the rush. St. Louis advances up the boards, and look who's coming down Broadway with a head of steam. Yeah, that's Cam Fowler. He's just roaring down the freeway. He's hitting stride.
Just sliding on that ice, man. Fast ass.
3-0 game in the first. That is the Blues style of hockey that made them a wagon down the stretch. Then a tiny bit of controversy here. Cole Perfetti on the doorstep gets robbed by Binnington, but he thinks the puck was in, even with it being in Binnington's glove. I mean, based on some angles, it looks like, yeah, maybe, but it's got to be conclusive. It's not, so Gary says, try again, Winnipeg. No goal. Buchnevich ends up jumping up all over later in the game, sending the hats. He's got 3. Shout out Gary Thorne, and this one would just end up being a complete beatdown. Hellebuyck gets pulled. The Blues put up a touchdown, and they did it, inflicting their Montgomery style of offense. This series is still 2-1 for Winnipeg, but Hellebuyck looked human, and the Blues may have just planted the seed of doubt heading into Game 4. Moving on to the matchup that is the first round Stanley Cup final. OT win for Dallas. I just finished reacting to this game, but the Avs are coming home, and they are finally joined by their captain, Gabriel Landeskog. For the first time in
Colorado, y'all got to force a Game 7. I mean, you have no choice but to. You don't force a Game 7, y'all going home, man.
1,032 days. Crazy, he's back in the lineup, and Ball Arena is shaking. Right away, he makes an impact, too. He gets on his horse and hits his former teammate in Mikko Rantanen and puts him on his ass. Avs fans, well, they love every second of that. Now, fast forward before halfway through the first, we got some
that former teammate shit don't mean nothing, especially in the playoffs. Like, yo, you trying to win, you trying to move on to the next round.
Now, anytime there's 4-on-4 or 3-on-3, there's no zone coverage. It's simply just man-on-man. You got your man, I've got mine. Here, Duchene's got Dwayne the Brock Nelson, and Lindell is going to have Nichushkin. So as Nichushkin cuts in, Nelson runs a scissor route with him and throws a pick like Prime Shack to free up Nichushkin. The seas part, and this man's got enough time to watch all 3 Lord of the Rings movies and still have time to spare with all that space. He makes no mistake, buries, and the Avs go up 1 early. Now, it wasn't until halfway through the third period where Dallas got on the power play and Captain Jamie Benn deflects one in with a high tip play to tie the game. That means we get back-to-back overtimes. Colorado did have a 4-minute power play near the end of the third and to start OT, but they just can't capitalize. They're going to be kicking themselves for that because this...
I was so frustrated about that shit, too. I'm like, man, y'all have an opportunity to get this goal on the power play. They can't get it.
The Rantanen Bowl. And despite being all around it, he's been held pointless in games 1 and 2.
That shit
Sometimes
frustrated me, bro.
the unsexy plays are the most important. The Stars' MO for McKinnon is to not give him any space to breathe and get off the wall here. So Rantanen is going to make a solid defensive read and double team with his defenseman to cut off any play to the middle or point. From there, he just uses his frame to beat out Drouin and advance this puck north to Marchment. Marchment goes all the way, drives the net, pulls up, and then finds Tyler Seguin for the game winner. How are ya? None of it happens, though, without that tiny little battle won on the wall by Rantanen.
They won the
And
puck battle,
two
bro.
teams this good and this close, it's those micro plays that ultimately end up being the difference. The Stars spoil Gabriel Landeskog's return.
I definitely feel like if Colorado loses this series, they're gonna look back at this game. Like you got no choice but to look back at this game right here. Like,
Despite only leading for a grand total of 70 seconds in this series, they lead 2-1. And they're doing this all without Jason Robertson and Miro Heiskanen. The Avs came into this game with a clear advantage in generating off the rush so far, but the Stars ensured that their 1-2-2 had strong back pressure and forced plays to the wall to keep Colorado in check off the rush. The result was McKinnon and Makar being held pointless while coming out with a Game 3 win. Now, moving on to Vegas and Minnesota. After Vegas took Game 1, I don't think anyone was surprised by that result. After all, I'd say that New Jersey, Minnesota, and Montreal are all probably the biggest underdogs in round 1. However, if Kaprizov wasn't hurt the entire year, this man would, without a doubt, be in the MVP conversation because of how important he is for Minnesota. Early in the first, the Wild block a shot. Kaprizov is first to the puck, and look at this saucer pass from Mars. It
that shit was nasty. That was a good
like
pass.
A flapjack on a Boldy
shit
stick.
is-
That is the
that shit
type
was
of
nasty.
sauce you smell as soon as you walk into your Nana's house, and all your worries
He
just
missed
melt
that shit
away.
miserably.
That may be one of the nicest passes
Yeah, that was
I've
nice.
ever
That was
seen,
nice.
and Boldy finishes it off. 1-0 Minnesota, and the Wild just swallowed Vegas in the first, and it was all about poor puck management for the Golden Knights. The Wild were up 3-0 by the end of the first period and scored all 4 goals off of a Vegas turnover. Did Minnesota's pressure and support do a good job of forcing mistakes?
Turnovers,
yes,
man.
but some of them were just complete fumbles on Vegas's part, and the Knights just couldn't catch up to tie this game. Vegas, according to NHL Edge statistics, are one of the slowest teams in the NHL.
Oh,
They
really?
beat you with their range, structure, and layers.
Vegas
But
layer?
when they give away the puck at the offensive or defensive blue line, that is something that other teams can expose because they simply don't have the foot speed to recover on time. I mean, you take away all the self-inflicted pizzas that Vegas gave away. Game 3 was a blueprint for Minnesota if they want to have success in this series. So in Game 3, they look to repeat the formula, and it starts with none other than Kirill the Thrill. He's going to go Daft Punk around the world on the power play and then rips one home from distance. Then it's that same puck management problems that start to pop up for Vegas because of the Wild's forecheck. Look here, the F2 for the Wild makes a great read here, saying that Hill is going to try and just blast this around the boards. He's going to stop the puck from passing, go and collecting $200. It's funneled down low, and the F3 comes down the hatch, and it's a coach's wet dream. The Wild are looking to be bracket busters. And even when things got a little hairy with Pietrangelo reminding Gustafsson to close
he
his
said
damn
bracket buster, so a lot of people chose the Golden Knights to win this series, huh? Shit.
legs, the Wild speed on the forecheck
break
gets it
everybody
right back.
bracket.
Boldy has been unreal in these playoffs so far. He's first man in, denies the reverse, his reach creates the turnover, and he steps in and buries. Minnesota, as complete dogs, take Game 3 5-2. Philip Gustafsson was solid in the third, stopped 13 shots, and Vegas now needs to go back to the drawing board. Fans had Vegas making quick work of Minnesota, but we got ourselves a series. It's time to now
Series
go
tied
on to
up
Edmonton
2-2.
versus LA. After Connor McDavid had one of the best games I've ever seen him play in his entire career, it's all for naught because they still lost Game 1. But reinforcements are here. Evander Kane is back in the lineup for Game 2, and it also looks like Edmonton is just saying screw it and going nuclear early with McDavid and Draisaitl being stacked on the same line. Long term, yeah, that's probably not sustainable, but the Oilers need one here, so they're doing it anyways. But I'm going to tell you something right now. The LA Kings are out for blood and revenge, and they want to do it in the exact same way.
Lost like what?
Oilers
3 straight series in the playoffs against all this, man. Shoot. They need to be out for everything at this point.
Have tortured them over the last few years, and that
I can't
is
get
with
another
special
L to the
teams.
Oilers Kings.
5 power plays in Game 2, 3 goals for the Kings. They, like the Toronto Maple Leafs, run a 5-forward unit. With Edmonton playing a triangle +1 on the PK, the one high forward wants to trap the play down and keep it to one side of the ice. So, what are the Kings doing? Instead of trying to force a pass and change of sides up high near the blue line, they're doing it below the goal line. Once all the killers for Edmonton collapse in, then LA kicks it back out top, and now Edmonton killers have to hustle back out the pressure to take away all that extra space. That is creating all kinds of seams while providing extra space up top, and the Kings are eating them alive with it.
That's smart.
That is sweet, sweet vengeance. And at one point, this game was again actually close. The Kings did go up 3-0 and almost blew the lead again with the Oilers scoring twice. Then Arvidsson with perhaps one of the worst muffins of the season right to Adrian Kempe, who is never missing from that spot. That just totally deflated Edmonton. Kempe, by the way, also
low-key, bro, fuck my bracket, bro. My bracket already looking ruined, bro. At this point, bro, I don't even want the Kings to win, bro. Y'all already know I'll be going back with LA sports teams, bro. I don't even want the Kings to win, bro. All this, bro, get the job done, bro. My bracket already ruined, bro. I'm over here cheering for my bracket winners, bro. It don't even make sense anymore, man.
Had 4 points in this game, and Stuart Skinner was pulled after letting in 5 goals. At one point, LA started chanting, "We want Skinner," and I don't blame him. Side note too, Quinton Byfield had a monster game as well, just pissing off the Oilers in McDavid's grill all night long, scored a beauty, and was drawing penalties in the process. The Kings and their neutral zone structure, again, just didn't let the McDrysdale combo get going. Their 1-2-2 had layers, and even with all the speed generated prior, Edmonton's 2 best players had to beat multiple guys to get free ice or defer by chipping it in. It is sure as shit not pretty for the Edmonton Oilers heading back home down 2-0. Now, does Calvin Pickard get the start for Game 3? Gotta think they may, considering Stuart Skinner's play as of late, but who knows? Big concern as well is the depth. They got to show us something here. Every year of playoff failure in the McDrysdale era has been attributed to the lack of depth. Last year, they were deep and they almost went all the way. We know that McDavid and Draisaitl last year, they were deep and they...
Yo! I thought that rat was real for a second. I was like, what the fuck? Yo, I glimpsed my eye. I'm like, wait, is that a rat?
Almost went all the way. We know that McDavid and Draisaitl are capable of pulling the Oilers out of this hole, but eventually it needs to be more than just those 2 guys. It's still early in this series, but the desperation and frustration has hit the Oilers game. On the same token, though, the LA Kings, they look damn good, and they look poised to go on a deep run. Also, with the Korean harmonica team doing the national anthems, they may never lose a game. It's time to go out east and check in on the Devils versus Hurricanes. After Game 1, New Jersey was checking into the hospital. Luke Hughes and Brendan Dillon both out of the lineup at the start of Game 2, and the hill only gets bigger to climb. But the Devils, they came to play. Early in the first, they get on Carolina hard and make them work to get out of the zone. As soon as the puck clears, look at Brent Burns' call for a change. Rule number 1 against the Devils, don't let them get going in the transition. Not only do the Devils win the battle at the wall, but the change creates a 4-on-2 scramble back. Devils get it.
Nah, that was a clean-ass change, though. And he did it at the perfect time, too.
Battle at the wall,
that shit.
But the change
the timing
creates
on that
a
was
4-on-2
crazy.
Scramble back. Devils get a chance, and who's on the doorstep? Jesper Bradatui. The Devils strike first. That entire sequence royally pisses off Rod Brindamore.
Yeah,
he's mad. He throws the gum and everything. We're just getting going, and so is Jacob Markstrom. This guy's out here slashing his own teammates and making 2-on-1 saves. He was brilliant in the first and really all game long. Then in the second, we see firsthand how the Hurricane pressure forces mistakes. The Canes start this play with a rim puck and then set their traps. F1 stays glued to the option down low, while the F2 applies pressure right onto the Devil picking up the puck. That forces a quick chip that just doesn't have enough juice to get out, and Gustas Bear stops it at the line. It's a fantastic read by him too, because as soon as he sees that Devils winger flex out, he's going to dish to the wall and then instantly activate off the blue line. He comes right down the chute, little give and go, and we got ourselves a tied game. Now, tactically, going into this series, a big contention with special teams. The Devils had a top 3 power play, while the Canes had the best PK in the league, and one is bound to break. And in Game 2, it's the Devils' power play. 50-50 puck off the draw. Carolina ends up winning it. It goes to Jordan Martinook, and the guy just becomes Jason Bourne. Short-handed rip, post Malone and in. But how about some extracurriculars? Brent Burns gives Timo Meier a little WWE headbutt. Has a noggin pal. Things go from bad to worse for Jersey.
That's actually a crazy ass headbutt though. Like you're headbutting his helmet for real. Like what the hell did that do for real?
Little WWE headbutt.
I mean, I guess it did something if he had his head backwards like that. Shit.
How's your noggin, pal? Things go from bad to worse for Jersey.
Was that a flop?
As Freddie Anderson begins to shut the door. Staring down the barrel, Mr. Anderson's pad says not today. The Devils get one last chance, and look at this puck bounce right over Meier's stick with a wide open net. Stuff you see in your nightmare. Do not go buy a lottery ticket with that kind of luck.
Right
Canes
there.
add the empty netter. Both goalies look dialed in this series, but for now, Carolina holds a 2-0 series lead. Now, I know people will probably write off New Jersey based off of injuries and being down 2-0, but all things considered, I did like their game pushback, but Game 3 has now become a must-win for them. Moving on to Montreal versus Washington. The Habs gave the Caps a little scare in Game 1, coming back from 2 goals down to force OT. Unfortunately for Montreal,
Canadiens.
Ovechkin is a cyborg built in the lab, as his game winner had the Caps up by 1 in this series.
Not looking good.
So, in Game 2, Washington keeps pushing the envelope physically. Tom Wilson takes his turn at running at Caulfield, and Ovi is just a wrecking ball.
Yo, I was just not about to say that shit.
Like he's the Terminator. The Habs get outshot 9-4 in the first. They escape a 0-0, then come out a minute into the second, and Christian Dvorak whacks home the loose puck to make it 1-0 for the kids. But momentum can be a funny thing, especially for a young team like Montreal. First, McMichael assists on his own goal as David Savard's leg scores on Montembeault. And then 60 seconds later, Dylan Strome cleans up his own garbage to give the Caps the lead. Washington outshoots Montreal 18-8 in the second, and Sammy Montembeault was easily the best player for Montreal in the first 2 periods. But then Logan Thompson enters the chat. Similar to Game 1, Montreal played their best hockey in the third period of this one, but Thompson was sensational. First, he goes balls to the wall on the cross crease, gets some help from the postman, and stops the rest of it with his arm. He's kicking out point-blank looks, and how about this? Last-second deflection, Thompson is basically sliding to the showers, but look at that toe. Remy Faso, he just gets a nail on it.
That's just incredible,
and he makes the save. Habs fans are losing hair, and they're really losing it seeing this. Cole Caulfield eats a cross-check from Nick Dowd right to the jibs. No call. He's livid. So are Habs fans everywhere. We got people calling to investigate the refs, saying it's rigged. It wouldn't be the playoffs without it. Trust me. The bottom line is the Habs push comes up short, and they go back to Montreal down 2-0. Now, a couple of things here. First, Marty St. Louis benched Patrick Laine for the entire third period. Message sent. He's just been way too pedestrian for his liking. Second, does he decide to go with big boy D-man Arbor Jackeye in the lineup for Game 3? With how physical Washington has been in the first 2 games, his presence may help with box outs and a hard forecheck. Either way, Montreal in the Bell Center is going to be rocking for Game 3, and they need to channel that energy and get on the Caps quick in the first 10 minutes if they're going to turn things around. They played their best hockey in the third period of both Games 1 and 2. They need to carry that over for a full 60 minutes.
Down 3-1 now. Can the Canadiens make a 3-1 comeback? Oh, it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough. But, hey, anything can happen. You feel me?
Giant State. For some reason, Barry made us wait a little bit longer to get this series. And right away, looks like the Panthers have taken up the injured reserve title from Vegas as Matthew Tkachuk comes right off the IR and into the lineup for Game 1. Everyone expects this series to be a war and for these 2 teams to tear each other apart. However, Game 1 was all Florida. It was pure domination for 3 reasons. First, Panthers inflicted their Florida brand of hockey, and that is pressure all over the ice. Defensively, for them, the question is how do you stop Nikita Kucherov? The back-to-back Art Ross Trophy winner thrives when pressure is coming at him, but Gustav Forsling for the Panthers did an unbelievable job at gapping up during any rush. This neutral zone turnover looks deadly at first, but look at how quickly Forsling closes the gap. Before Kucherov even enters the blue line, Forsling has closed in on him and the pass goes off a skate. Most touches he had in the neutral zone were met with instant pressure to force a dump in. Whether it was back pressure with layers or a step up, the Panthers made sure that the most deadly playmaker in the world was operating on a millisecond of time. And he still got an assist. Reason number 2 for the win, deflections and traffic against Vasilevskiy. It's simple, but it ain't easy. Out of the 6 goals that Florida scored, 2 of them were deflections and 1 was from range with traffic in front. Uncontested shots with no angle change or traffic are just not going to beat him. All night in Game 1, Florida made it a point to throw tippable pucks towards the Tampa net to make sure that Vasilevskiy had to rely purely on his reflexes, and it paid off in Game 1. Reason number 3 was the power play, or the Tkachuk effect. 3 power play opportunities and 3 goals. 2 of them came from the stick of Matthew Tkachuk. What was clear is that Florida sent the message to Tampa in Game 1. It's that the champs are still here. However, Game 2 was always going to be a different story. Goals were being handed out like candy.
I said the same thing, bro. I said the same thing on my last reaction with the Lightning and the Panthers. I'm like, yo, the champs, like, yo, they not standing down. Like, they not giving up or nothing. They here.
Who saw this coming, but Nate Schmidt is turning into Bobby Orr. He scores again and just flat out beats Vasilevskiy from distance. That's ugly, and that's one that Vasilevskiy certainly wants back, and one that he should have every day of the week. Nate Schmidt, by the way, he scored 5 goals all year. He's got 3 in these playoffs. And despite the early softie, this one was a goaltending and defensive duel. Not a lot of room out there, but if there's one man on the case, it's Sergei Bobrovsky. Officer Bob was perfect in this game, stopping all 19 shots against, looking calm, cool, and outweighting shooters. That is a bad sign for pretty much everyone else in the playoffs. It is no bueno for any opponent if he's on top of his game and if the Panthers are playing to their defensive capabilities. In this one, they put on the clamps against the best offensive team in the NHL, but the biggest concern is Alex Barkov. Late in the third, Brandon Hagel just drills him with the puck already 3 to 4 business days out of the picture. Clear interference. He got a 5-minute major, and Barkov had to leave the game. That is the type of hit that turns the series completely upside down. Hagel better keep his head up, and every other Tampa superstar also better watch out for what comes next. Hopefully, though, Barkov is okay because he is the backbone of the Panthers' success, and that could be a huge loss in this playoff run. However, the good news is they go back home with a 2-0 series lead, and they look like they haven't missed a beat. Let's move on to the Battle of Ontario. The tensions are high, tempers are flaring all night for Game 2.
Senators and the
Sens
Maple
are
Leafs
looking to tie the series up, while the Leafs are searching for their first 2-0 series lead in over 2 decades. We get
for real?
Mitch Marner wide open. That T hits the post. Leafs are all over Ottawa early with zone time, and then they start the motion to create confusion for Ottawa's coverage. Out of the corner, Morgan Rielly, the D, activates off the blue line to the far post. Tavares, who has the puck, is going to defer to Nylander and then swing himself up high to pull Cousins out of coverage. However, with Rielly coming off the blue line, Batherson doesn't pick him up until it's too late, and Toronto strikes first. Discipline was a huge problem for the Sens in Game 1, and the Leafs take advantage again in Game 2. If you remember, all 3 power play goals in Game 1 came very shortly after a face-off win. Game 2, it's the same thing. Leafs win the draw, and Ottawa is just far too passive on the kill. The Leafs have time to shift into a 2-1-2. Sanderson doesn't pressure, and Tavares squeaks one in. He left the island, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget it. Now, Sens fans already had a gripe with officiating in Game 1, and they get more ammunition by seeing Stolars just laying the lumber on Ridley Gregg in front. Tomahawk chop, and he ends it with a shoulder. Says,
bro is getting fucked up.
Son. Both get a penalty somehow, so the Sens don't get a power play. The Sens are down by 2 in the first. Tkachuk tries to stir some things up. Leaf fans are still chanting Brady sucks, but then Ottawa gets to their game in the second. They start beating Toronto to 50-50 pucks below the goal line, draw a penalty, and guess who? Brady Tkachuk, between the legs, bang shot, bingo. The Sens are only down by 1 going into the third, and this is where we see the clash in styles. At their best, Ottawa is a shoot and retrieve style of team that wins their puck battles, goes low to high, and repeats. But the block shots at the end of this hockey game were 32-6 for Toronto. The Sens and their defense had time at the point. but with how well the Leafs box out the slot and get in front of pucks, Ottawa's only option ended up being to put it square into the shin pad of a Leaf player. The Sens only had 4 shots in the third, but they capitalize off a Leaf turnover, and Adam Gaudette turns into Tippy Longstockings to tie the game. The Sens smell blood near the end too. Dylan Cousins point-blank chance, but Anthony Stolarz just looking glovely out there, flashing the leather. So we get OT in the Battle of Ontario. Drake Batherson has a chance, throws it into the middle. Simone
gets
Benoit
intercepted.
steps up and reads the play.
Yep.
He goes the other way with Max Domi, a little drop pass of his own, and this right here should be a dead play if Batherson plays the body. No, son, he gets caught looking, makes Domi look like Mario Lemieux, and that's all she wrote. His dad ties in the crowd. He's loving it.
That shit was nasty. Y'all remember when I reacted to it, bro? I had to replay that shit like 3-4 times. That shit was so nasty.
Battle of Ontario. Leaf fans fully believing it's their year heading into Game 3 and are already planning that parade down Bay Street. Stolarz was phenomenal. He's 10-0 in his last 10 starts, but the job's not finished, and Ottawa is hungry. So, with Game 3 in the nation's capital, this one feels like a must-win for the Sens. First playoff home game since 2017, and going down 3-0 would be no good. First period, couple good chances on both sides. Timmy Stu goes mano-a-mano with Stolarz. He's robbed. Nylander gets a breakaway and gives it the old beer league clapper, but Allmark shuts the door. Then in the second, it's the Leafs who get in some penalty trouble. 5-on-3, and it's Jean-Claude Giroux just sifts one perfectly through a Tkachuk screen. It's 1-0 Ottawa. Unfortunately, though, the excitement is short-lived because the Leafs get one right back on the power play themselves. I don't know why the hell the Senators are insisting on playing such a passive penalty kill, but it's killing them. It leaves the door wide open for the Leafs to get a lucky bounce, and they do, and it's 1-1 going into the third. Then the big boys show up for both teams. First, off the wall, rimmed puck, and Mitch Marner with a cheeky touch through the legs right to Matthews out front. He's looking like Kucherov there, and shades of the Thor Nations play between him and McDavid. Allmark is also out here on the other.
Oh, shit. Yo.
The post looking for Waldo, and the Sens need an answer. Who else but the captain? Brady Tkachuk is trying to will this team to victory, so he steps in off the rush and beats Stolarz clean.
Yeah,
that's
Brady
rare,
Tkachuk
but who cares? For the second time in as many games, we're going to OT for the Battle of Ontario. Who will be the hero? Is it going to be Stützle, Tkachuk, Matthews, Marner? No. It's going to be Mr. OT himself, Simone Benoit. He steps right in off the faceoff and just beats Allmark
just
clean.
Like that.
The Sens and their fans are stunned. Eggs and Benny has become a Senator killer, and the Leafs are up 3-0 on the series. Afterwards, the Sens coaching staff talked about how disheartening this loss was, but they need to snap the hell out of it and just focus on one game at a time here. Back-to-back OT losses could have gone either way. Instead, Leaf fans have the brooms ready, and the cup parade is fully on.
No brooms, but hey, Leafs and 5 though.
On heading into Game 4. So, what do you think of all the matchups so far? Who has surprised you?
Comment down below how y'all been feeling about these playoffs so far. Me personally, I've been loving it, man. Obviously, like I said, my bracket that I predicted looked like it's not gonna be accurate at all. There's a lot of teams that's looking like they're on the verge of getting out of the playoffs unless, a lot of miracles happen, man. But hopefully I enjoy the reaction, and I'm going to catch y'all in the next one, man.